Let's go on to team. So what are the questions here? First of all, earlier in my youth in getting into software many years ago was kind of the superhero programmer era. We are now in the post-superhero programmer era. It was just the state of software, whatever it was, 30 years ago, was such that one smart person could build this brilliant thing better than anything was out there. So why isn't that happening today? Why don't we have the single superheroes anymore that we had 30 years ago? I think it's just software is a lot better. It's raised the level of functionality and quality that you really can't do it by yourself. So now to have a successful software engineering career, you have to be good at programming, which a lot of you already are. You have to get along with others, and you have to help make the team win. So quoting Fred Brooks for the third time today, there are no winners on a losing team and no losers on a winning team. So he said this is about basketball at University of North Carolina where he was, but no winners on a losing team. If your team loses, you're not going to be bragging about that. If you're on that infamy Hall of Fame, hey, I was the best programmer on the FBI file case abandonment project, right? That's not a good thing there as a resume. And no losers on a winning team. Hey, I helped found Google. Well, I only did, this minor role, but I helped found Google. Man, if you helped found Google, you're going to leave that on your resume and be pretty good. So it turns out I've got a lot of experience in teams, in sports, in teams. I think one of my strengths is building teams. So ironically, I wasn't on a sport like football or any of the sports that involve a lot of teams. I did wrestling, which is highly individual. So this was high school. This is me. Well, this is me, and this is me. And this is 50 years later, our coach, and this is Rich Byrne, who's standing me next there, and we were best men at each other's weddings, and we're still good friends today. So one of the things that I had really good wrestling coaches is it taught the importance of working as a team, even in an individual sport like wrestling. And that carries over today, and I think that's one of my strengths as a faculty member. I can get all these independent faculty members to work together and pull as a team. But basically, if you're on a winning team, there's no losers, and that's what you need to be able to figure out what to do. All right. So what's an alternative? The plan and document has this program manager style, and it's in hierarchical, depends on the manager. How should we organize an agile team? It's probably not going to have this manager model. Is there some alternative to this hierarchical model? And so that's what's called Scrum. Scrum is an example of a way to organize an agile team. So they come up with this 2 pizza-sized team, which is 4 to 9 people, which is a good size, so you don't spend too much time communicating. And Scrums, the name comes from rugby, which I played also, but that's not why. Scrum is inspired by these short daily meetings. So 15 minutes every day at the same place, you show up, like 9:07 in the morning, you get there and you have the short meeting and you just go around the circle and answer 3 questions. And the 3 questions are, what have you done since yesterday? What are you planning to do today? And are there any impediments or stumbling blocks there? And you go around a circle, and what the idea is you try and help individuals on your team in the Scrum and see if they have some obstacle, and maybe you can do something to change what you're doing to help them overcome their obstacle. Or maybe you have some experience you can share. Hey, I've had that problem before, and you do that. But every day, 15 minutes, what are you going to do each day? There's a couple of roles. There's the team, which develops it. But then there's a person called the Scrum Master, and that's the team member who does these following things. He acts as a buffer, or he or she acts as a buffer between the team and any kind of external distractions, so try to keep the team focused, working on the things at hand rather than getting distracted and working on things besides the user stories you're supposed to. He or she enforces the team rules, like if you have a coding standard, make sure everybody's sticking to the coding standard. And if there's impediments to making progress, like lack of access to data or software, the Scrum Master takes that on. The one other role is called the product owner. This is a team member who is not the Scrum Master, somebody else, who represents the voice of the customer and helps prioritize user stories. So we've got the Scrum Master to help keep people in the right direction. The product owner say, hey, I don't know, as the product owner, I don't think that's a good way to do this, or I think this is more important, and so trying to pretend to do this. And as we'll say again, it's a good idea to rotate these roles. In this it's informal organization, certainly the product owner and quite possibly the Scrum Master. Now, one of the things that's going to happen in teams is resolving conflicts. There's 2 different opinions on what's the right way to go on a particular technical issue. So let's talk about some ways to resolve these conflicts. One way is, instead of starting with a disagreement, is starting where you agree. So let's start off with listing all of the things where you agree. And then maybe you're going to realize, well, gee, we're not that far apart. Well, I agree in these 7 or 8 things. There's one thing we differ, or maybe it's not that big. Another way to do this is to articulate each other's arguments. So being in arguments, you swap roles. Even if you don't agree with it, you give the other argument of the other person, and then that other person switches roles and gives your argument back. So what this does is it avoids confusion about terms or assumptions. Maybe the reason the argument is just you have different assumptions, and once you understand each other's assumptions, that's the real cause of the conflict. Intel actually embraces conflicts. They have what they call constructive confrontation. So if you have an Intel Blue Badge, you're an Intel employee, you are told on the first day that if you have a strong opinion that the person is proposing the wrong thing technically, not business but technically, you are obligated to bring it up. By your badge, you're obligated to bring it up, even if it's the president of the company. So that's constructive confrontation. That sounds good. That causes lots of people to examine ideas. But that could lead to problems. So they also have, another part of the culture is disagree and commit. So once the decision is made, so there's 2 people, one's probably right, one's wrong, you need to go with that one, embrace it, and go ahead. And basically we say, I still disagree. You're still wrong. But I disagree, but I'm going to help even if I don't agree. So I don't have to agree to help, but I have to help because I want to be a team member. So as I think about these things, my wife and I celebrated our 46th wedding anniversary like Wednesday, and there's a chance that this conflict stuff could be useful in the future career. There's a chance that when you get married, there may not always see eye to eye, and if you could be good at resolving conflicts. So this is software engineering improving your personal life. So boy, you handle these conflicts so well. How did you do that? Well, I'm a software engineer, so of course. So summarizing Scrum, it's basically a kind of a guidelines to self-organize a team. The big part of it is the stand-up 15 minutes questions, 15-minute meetings where you answer these 3 questions. What did you do yesterday? What are you going to do today? And are there any obstacles? And you've got these 2 roles, the product owner and Scrum Master, that you rotate around so everybody gets a chance to do it.